and I like to pass the floor and give the floor to Arthur Hay. He's been around for quite some time. I don't speak French, and he represents Coop Cycle. Coop Cycle is a cooperative that deals with food delivery, but not only. Uh, it's a messenger service, a courier service. All that started in France, and I think Arthur can give us a very good overview. You have the floor.
Arthur, thank you for having you here. You need to unmute yourself, please.
I feel like a old person when I do this. So thank you for the invite. Thank you for the OGB, for all the organization. Really glad to be here. I'll be speaking in English, even if it's not really my mother tongue, but I have no German to save me now. So it
Gar
will be
kein Deutsch spreche. Deswegen muss ich auf Englisch ausweichen.
I'm a bike deliverer.
Also ich bin ein Fahrradbote.
I've been working for companies like Uber, Deliveroo, Foodora, those companies that make you have a freelancer status to work for them. So I make a little bit of historical overview for us to understand well why Coop Cycle has been created. So me, I'm a member of Coop Cycle since 2017, and I'm a member of a union defending the labor right, especially the freelancer right in delivery situations in the union CGT since 2016. So I started by the union work and then cooperative work, and now I'm doing both because I think it's two sides of the same coin going in the same direction. So what happened is in 2017 year we managed, and when I say we, it's the unions I've been in and some other collectives, we managed to make some strikes to make our voice heard by the media, by the people, by the customers. And so many people understood who were those people riding bikes in the streets. And because many people were wondering how we appear so fast in the streets, because like 2 years before, they didn't see any people with big backpacks riding in the city. So that's kind of our first victory as a union. It's to acknowledge the people, the precarity we are in. And so we managed to attract the attention of some people in Paris, France, and who decided as volunteers to create an alternative of the urbanization. They decided to give another options to riders like me and to manage ourselves and to work for ourselves directly. And this is how they created the idea of Coop Cycle. So basically, those people, I know most of them, they don't do bike at all. They don't do delivery. So, but they had many different skills, and they decided to put it to create a Coop Cycle. So to say Coop Cycle right now, it's a federation of cooperative or collectives who are aiming to be cooperative. So the federations has values. So we have basically democratic governance. I make the big points, then I go into the details later. So there are democratic governance, like one Coop, one vote, and the democratic goals also in the local co-ops. Other value, it's the created value of the co-ops. They go directly to the workers, and they should not go anywhere else. Like one of our basic sentence, it's money should not make money. So this is how it happens. All the benefits go to the workers. And the last part, and I think it's like the core idea of the Coop Cycle thing, is the collective property of the means of productions that goes to the workers. And I'm going to start after with an example. The biggest is the software we all use in common. And also we have the last value. Sometimes we forget to talk about it because it's so natural for us. We do everything in bike. And so it's a federation naturally of bike delivery now. Like we do last mile delivery and we do food delivery, but I'll speak about it in more details in the last part of my speech. So just to say now, what is the federation, how big are we? So we have now, only for the federation, we have 2 employees, only taking care of the federation topics. We are based in 7 different countries. So it's France, Spain, England, Germany, Canada, Poland, and Sweden. There is actually 65 co-ops or collectives, as I said, which are aiming to be a co-op. Last year, 2020, even with the COVID situation, we made in the federation more than 100,000 deliveries. So we're pretty glad about this and making 3.5 million turnover in the federation. And this year, the last year has been absolutely incredible for the federation because so many collectives, so many group of people joined the federation and are still joining the federation. So in the next few years, we're gonna be big. That put some questions, some difficulties in how we keep the democratic system in it. So I'll talk about it, and actually that's gonna be my first part about the speech. So what is the democratic system in governments in the federation? So as I say, it's one co-op, one vote, whatever the size of the co-op. So democracy in the company, in the federation, for us, it's not only voting. It's to be to have all the knowledge of the federation on what's going on in the federation, on when you have all this knowledge, then you can speak, then you can debate, then you can make decisions. This is how we are thinking this democracy thing. It's not only you put questions in a numerical tool and then people answers and then the decision is made. We are always debating, and like we have a Slack all together when we are all discussing on many subjects. But we decided to divide it the subjects in 3 big parts. So we have coordination, development, and budget. On the last part, the budget, how is it made? Every co-op that has already an economical activity has to give a contribution to the federation. The contribution is 2% of the added value of each co-op. And so every 6 months we give it to the federation. And it's with this money we can manage to employ 1 developer who can manage the software, and also 1 coordinator who can help the new people coming in the federation to start good with us. And so we have also the development. So development is all about the software, the tool, because all the co-ops locally, we use the Coop cycle tool. I'll develop it a little bit later, but it's a specific logistical tool that help us to be efficient, as efficient as a Deliveroo, Uber, Foodora. And so there is many things you can develop in those logistical tools. And so we created a group with other co-ops so we can decide what priority we give to the development of this tool. And so the coordination, so there is a group of people on the coordination group. So basically most of the job is to help the new collective to work with the federation. In each of these groups, so you'll find volunteers of local co-ops. So how is it working? So as I said, every co-op has to contribute financially, but we also have to contribute with work, let's say. So we engage ourselves as a co-op to give 1 or 2 people to work on one of these group, to make our workforce on these subjects really efficient, and we can go forward, because only 2 employees for all the co-ops and collectives won't be enough to manage everything. So this is how we manage the things. And we also are creating like control bodies, like to see if the democracy is respected in the federation and also in the local co-ops. So we have to build like many chairs, many groups of people controlling what's happening here and there, because we're already kind of big, but we are also anticipating when we're gonna get bigger. And because I cannot even imagine how like a co-op like Mondragons can work, it must be really amazing to know every details of it. So second part is the collective property of the means of production. And for us, mostly it is the software we put on common. So the basic idea at the beginning to create the alternative from the volunteers in Paris was to create the software and then let it to the workers. And so we can manage to compete against the big corporation like Uber and Deliveroo. And so we had to think of how we protect the software and also make it like something like free, transparent, not opaque. So some people in CoopCycle created are using a license which is copyleft. So it's something you can contribute to the software, to the creation of the software and the improvement of the software. But if you want to use it to make a company, to work as a logistical tool, you need to respect some things, like you have to respect the definition of a social solidarity economy as the European Union is defining it. So it's like sharing the benefits, democratic gestion, social utility, and independent from public sources. So basically it's this. And the other point is you have to be a cooperative with employees, no freelancers. Because as the dear Dr. Staudinger say, he is a lawyer, you can find many ways to go around the democratic subject of a cooperative. And this is why you need to put some boundaries. The local co-ops cannot pass. And this is why we're saying cooperative with employee and no freelancers on it. What else? And the software, basically, it helps us a lot on logistical, like the clients, the customers, they can go in our websites, they can order deliveries, food deliveries or anything that can deliver. The payment is online. It's really easy, really simple to use. And this is really a big help for any co-op that are creating themselves, because those kind of tools are really expensive in the market. And if you want to create your own, it's impossible to pay it, except if you're mostly a capitalistic company with a lot of money already, but impossible for workers from the gig economy. And so what we put in common is also the insurances. So we are going to negotiate with a big insurances company to have like some kind of bargains. We are managing also to find clients, customers, as big companies like Carrefour in France. This especially it's negotiated with sorry, it's a colleague. So we find customers nationally, because sometimes big companies, they only work if you can give them a national solution or a European solution. And as we are now a federation, an international federation, at least with 7 countries, and really present in France, we can manage to find those kind of customers. what we also do is we manage to put on common some expenses, like buying bikes, trailers for the bikes, and all those things, all in order not to be like one isolated co-op buying bike at the most expensive price, but we also do this. So I can answer the specific questions about it later. So I go to the third part. So created values to the workers. So as I said, money should not make money. All the benefits of the companies are distributed to the workers. So you need to ride a bike to earn the money, basically. So this is at least how we think it in all local co-op. So how do we manage to make the co-op respect these kind of things? When they enter the federation, they need to sign a collective agreement, kind of a collective agreement, where there is many things you engage yourself to respect. So this created values to the workers, the democratic way to manage the company, and a few other things like do not distribute all the documents we share all together, and those things. Because in the federation, we are a lot. How can I say? We are all together in it. I mean, we are all talking all together, as I said, and we're sharing many of information, like private information, on our companies to help the people who come in to start. So there is it's really a trusty engagement we have all together. And so in this collective agreement, it put all those engagement. So yeah, I'll come back then on how can we consider ourselves as an alternative. We are pretty much aware of we are going to have many difficulties to bring down the Uberization now, just our co-ops. But what we do now, it's we are putting all the lies of the Uberization in a bin. Like companies like Foodora, Deliveroo, Uber, they say, if we make us respect our employer responsibility, pay the contributions, pay you a proper wages, we will go down, so we will leave your country. What Coop Cycle shows is that it is really possible to make a delivery company with a bike that makes money and respect their workers. It's really simple. So basically, we're cutting the crap out of these companies. And then we are showing this to the lawmakers, because the lawmakers, and especially in France, they're trying to help the companies like Uber and Deliveroo not to have legal problems, because you can go to a court and ask for employee status, and then the delivery company and all those gig economy companies are going to pay you a lot of money, and they're pretty afraid about this. So they ask help for the government to help them not to have those kind of problems. And using the argument of, like we are employing thousands of people, don't make us save the country. So we show them that you can respect your employees and your workers and have a profitable company. How do we compete? So that was one question before. First, we save a lot of money not feeding a greedy capitalist man on the top of a company who's not even delivering anything. So basically, like, we are at the stage of capitalism exploitation that makes us save a lot of money in regard of other competitors, really. So basically, we are never going to be rich riding for our co-ops, but we managed to have good wages, not so much, but good enough, and we're pretty happy about it. And at every end of the year as a co-op, we can give ourselves what we can. Oh man, I didn't take for the translation in English for this one. So let's say the worker tribute. So at the end of the year, some part of the benefits you can give to the workers. And so with this, we also managed to have a good wages, good incomes. So another way to compete with this company, it's quality, and it's linked basically to the cleverness of how we conduct our companies. We are bike deliverers. We know now a lot of about logistics, and we have a lot of advices from other co-ops that are doing logistics. We have the cleverness now to compete logistically talking with those companies. Let's say like gig economy companies, they will hire freelancers and they pay them only at the task. So it means like it doesn't cost more money from them to put 2 people doing 2 deliveries than putting 1 people doing 2 deliveries, because they will only pay the task. So, I mean, it's they don't think anymore because it's too easy for them to run a business. But we have to think, and we managed to overtake them by the left to in the logistical and find a way to compete, even talking about the prices. Because us, we never go only with 1 delivery and come back without anything in our bags. We really, there is an optimization of every delivery. So we managed to compete also at this stage. As Robert say, so basically at the beginning of Coop Cycle, the idea was to compete against the food delivery companies, but finally, like, we are competing also on companies in the globally last mile delivery. So we're delivering many things like flowers, like parts of people for hospitals and such, and documents and big things we don't even know what's in. And so, but even in this area, there are many companies of the gig economy that are competing with us. It's not only in the food delivery that Uber made some babies, so we need to compete with them. And in the last mile delivery, it's safer than in the food delivery business, because we are pretty much the first to be really organized doing this on bikes, and many of big cities, like I'm talking townships, are really interested in increasing the bike delivery system. And so we are kind of the first, and we are not a capitalistical companies, and we really aiming to be the only kind of exploitation of workers in the business. So, and sometimes, like in Bordeaux, I can say like our co-op is also giving advices to another co-op that is created by 2 other colleagues that we know about, but it was impossible to bring them inside our co-op, but they're creating themselves. And we are competing in cleverness too. So we're not really competing on each other, and I think we're creating something that can compete with the biggest company. So as I said, I'm a union member, and I'm keeping this side of the coin. And I managed to make understand to my union, the CTT, that creating co-ops is also a way to compete and to improve the worker conditions, and also in the gig economy where we were acting at first, because showing, as I said, the alternative is interesting to make the fights more effective, I think. And yeah, basically that's it. And those kind of platform co-op, as some people can call us, are being created in many areas, domestic, like housekeeping, many things, and many of them are created after some workers are being really too much exploited on an area, and they're thinking about how to extract themselves from this exploitation. And it's something that grows, really. It's growing. Yeah. So I let the people to the questions.
Thank you, Arthur. I really like the whole idea and approach. I'm always like, ooh. Uh, there was one question from Dimitri. If you have developed the software by yourself with your volunteers, or from the scratch, or if you have developed the software from the scratch, or did you use some open source platform? Like first question.
I am the developer of it, but I know that the developer, it's named Alexander Segura, and he's been using GitHub, how can I say in English, really too much technical. You know, you have a kind of a sentences, development sentences in GitHub available. So he picked what he can, put it in the software, and then write it better to be really well included in the software. I think this is how it's working. Some people sometimes helps him, not like in the design of the software, because he's maybe less good in this subject than in other subjects. You know, sometimes people are coming to volunteer to help him. But let's give to Caesar what's his. Alexander made most of the development, actually.
So I guess the question that comes with it from Dimitri is if there's existing platforms for cooperatives, should be answered with that if you want to get access to your software, you have to become a member of your federation and be yourself a cooperative that has certain values and sticks to these values.
Exactly.
So, yes.
It's it. I mean, so we're not bad people. So we give you 2 years to be a co-op and employ the people working on the co-op. Because as a member of a co-op, I know it's difficult at the beginning to find the customers and to have enough money to employ the people, because it's the same as in Austria. If I understood well, you need to have two full employed people to create a co-op, and so it's not so easy to have this kind of money at the beginning.
And one question from Vuk from Lithuania, if I'm right. How do you work with restaurants? Are they willing to hire Coops instead of Uber Eats, Deliveroo, etc.? That's actually what I also wanted to ask. Like, how do you compete with? You answered it partly already, but how do you compete with the with the big gig companies, basically?
Okay, at first, the restaurants who wanted to work with us, it was because of their soul. Really. I mean, they didn't want to work with Uber and Deliveroo because they knew what they were. Then now people are joining or using as a restaurant or companies, because Uber and Deliveroo, they're not respecting them, as I can say. At first, they were aiming, when I say those gig companies, they were aiming every restaurants, the small ones, the good food, the restaurants and such. Now they're working with McDonald's, Burger King, and those companies.
Interessieren sie sich eigentlich nur noch für die Riesenketten, Burger King und so weiter. Und für die kleinen Restaurants haben sie gar nichts mehr übrig. Also sie finden gar keine...
Like the digital tool, they have problems to have an answer from those big companies. Also, the prices. Gig companies, they take 30% of what the delivery contains. Us in Bordeaux, we consider that the added value of the delivery is not our work. We are not in the kitchen. We're not doing anything in the kitchen. So what we say, we're delivering whatever is in the bag, good, not good, cheap, expensive. It won't change the way we're going to deliver. So we keep the same price. So what we say to the restaurant is like, if you manage to say to your customers that it's better to order when you're 2 people or family, etc., we are cheaper than Uber and Deliveroo, because it's always the same price for us, the delivery. We don't take any percentage. So this is how also we compete, and the restaurants, they understand this. Also, we are not going In Bordeaux, we are not doing this. In other cities, they are doing it. That's the 30-minute delivery promise. In Bordeaux, like we created a company to be comfortable. Really, we're not lazy, but we don't like really difficult things. So we say to the restaurants, your customers has to order before 11 to get their food before 12:30, and they have to order before 12 to get their food before 1:30. And this is how we also can have a big bike and take many orders. We have everything to keep it warm or cold, and we can go around in the city, give everybody their food in time, and manage also to earn enough for us and to be to have a good price for the restaurants.